I started grade 9. I went to a school where I really didn't know anyone, literally no one at all. So I kind of needed something in common with people, so I started smoking weed. And then, so I made more friends and that progressed. And then I made friends that were doing harder drugs. So in my summer after grade 9, like a lot of my friends were experimenting with drugs, so I tried Molly for the first time. And after that, I started doing it a lot. I really just wanted to try it once, just to see what it was like, because I didn't think it was going to turn into an everyday thing. So I started doing that almost every day, and then a few months later I stopped completely, and I was just kind of, for the rest of the year, I was just experimenting with like a bunch of different drugs. Then my summer after grade 10, I started doing perks, and I tried those in the middle of summer, and then like right away I started doing them almost every day. And on October 11th, I went to rehab, and I was in rehab from October 11th to December 23rd. And a few days after Christmas, I started doing perks again. And on New Year's Eve, one of my best friends overdosed in my garage. And that was really scary. It kind of scared me, but not enough to stop doing them, because I was with him a few days later and he overdosed again. So I didn't really care how dangerous they were. So I just kept doing them until my parents eventually found out, and they got really mad at me. And Chloe Cottville passed away, which made me realize that it could happen to anyone. You could just overdose. It's one bad pill, pretty much. So that's when I stopped doing them, and I've been clean for around 2 months now.
And take me back to that day that Aiden overdosed in your garage. What was that like?
That was terrifying. I was like in shock. I had no idea what to do. I was crying. I had around 8 friends at my house, and everyone was just freaking out. Only one of them was sober, and she called 911, and my dad got home right in time because she was trying to do CPR, but nothing was happening. So my dad got home right in time, right before the ambulance came, and it was just so scary. I just really did not know what to do.
And what do you think is the most important thing you need to do to be able to stop using drugs? Do you think you need to change your group of friends, change schools, etc.? What do you think people need to do to fully stop?
I think first you need to talk to someone about it, decide you really want to stop. I haven't completely changed friends. I still have some of my old friends. I just don't hang around them as much. I tried to start hanging out with people that were better influences, and a lot of my friends also quit drugs. So that's why I have some of the same friends, I think. But yeah, I really think you just need to talk to someone and make the decision that you actually want to quit and have a reason for quitting. Because if you're doing it to make someone else happy, it's really not going to work.
And are you ever concerned whenever you are hanging out with some of your old friends that may be still using? Are you ever concerned that due to peer pressure or whatever that it might tempt you to start up again?
I don't think so, because I try to avoid it as much as I can, and I'm really not sure what I do in the situation where I was offered it, but I definitely think I'd say no.
And what would your recommendations be to anyone who was thinking of starting drugs?
It's not worth it at all. It's a terrible decision. You think it's going to be fun, but it's not. Well, yeah, it just completely ruined everything. There's no way to manage it and use like regularly. It's still damaging your body whenever you do it. It's just the worst decision you could make.
And where would you like to see yourself in 5 years from now?
I really want to go to the university University of British Columbia because I want to be a child psychologist. So I'm trying to get good grades again, get back into the rhythm of going to school every day, doing my homework and everything. I'm not completely there yet, but I'm getting there. So yeah, I want to graduate high school and go to college for a year or two, then move to British Columbia and go to university there.
And is it a concern for you with it being British Columbia? Because of course they have a very big drug rate, bigger than here.
I honestly never really had thought about it because I've wanted to go there for so long, even before I was doing drugs and before I knew drugs were such a big problem there, so I'm not really sure.
And how long did you use drugs for?
Around 2 years.
And do you find it started to increase the longer you went?
Yeah. And then I'd make more friends that used the longer I did it. So.
And are you concerned for your friends that are still using?
Yeah. It's terrible because I've seen so many people overdose off perks, and now there's carfentanil in Percocets, and they're getting even stronger. Because before I went to rehab, they definitely weren't as strong as they were after I got out. Like, I didn't know anyone who had overdosed, and then as soon as I got out of rehab, so many people just started overdosing, and like you could take 2 or 3 pills and you'd overdose off that many, when people used to be able to take around 10 and be fine.
And what do you think should be done to stop drugs getting in the hands of teens and stop teens from experimenting or trying things out?
I think teens should be a lot more educated on drugs because there's not really any program set in place to educate teens about drugs right now and the real dangers of them. And I don't know what could be done to keep drugs out of teenagers' hands, because it's really hard to do that, because if they want to do drugs, they're going to find drugs somehow.
What do you think of starting to teach about the impacts of drugs at a younger age in school, and well, for that matter, also talking more about it in school, because we have learned that some of the bigger drugs, such as fentanyl, aren't even being discussed?
Yeah, I think it's better to start at a younger age, because kids so young are doing drugs these days. It's crazy. So like around grade 5 or grade 6 is when people are going from middle school, like they can go to high school. Like my school starts at grade 7, and that's when you're kind of being introduced to it all. So I think people need to learn a lot more than what's being taught right now.
And do you think drugs are becoming more of an issue in schools? Is it something that schools are seeing more of?
Yeah, I definitely think so, because when I was in grade 9, I knew people that smoked weed, but I hardly knew anyone that did drugs. No one really talked about drugs at school, but then when I got to grade 10, the end of grade 10, it got a lot worse, and I started knowing a lot more people were doing drugs, and a lot younger people, and I found out one of my sister's friends was doing drugs, and my sister's in grade 8 right now.
And what is the school's response to this? I mean, they're clearly seeing it happening. It's happening all over. How are they handling the situation?
I really don't know. I know my school, All Saints, have done a drug presentation on fentanyl, and they sent out a fentanyl fact sheet, but that's about it.
Do you think that's enough?
No, I really don't think so.
What do you think of the support options and resources that are in place for Ottawa, the amount of beds we have, support groups, etc.? What do you think of all of that?
I think there needs to be more support for youth, because there's detox, but in detox it's mostly adults, and not all teenagers would be comfortable going to detox and sleeping beside a 50-year-old that's been doing drugs their whole life. And there's nothing really in the Canada area right now. It's all more towards downtown and more directed towards adults, so I think there definitely needs to be more options for youth and places closer to Canada.
And what do you think of your father's response to all of this, writing the letter and such? Was it embarrassing for you that he was opening up about your addiction, or what was your just initial thoughts now on what he was doing?
At first I was very shocked and overwhelmed because he didn't really tell me he was writing a letter. I just kind of read it on Facebook one day. So it was very overwhelming, and I was getting a lot of messages from people and a lot of likes and comments on my Facebook posts, and people would come up and talk to me and I'd have no clue who they were or anything. But once everything got a bit less crazy and I got more used to it, I'm really happy about what he's doing, and that I get to help and everything.
And was the people's response positive?
Most was positive. I had a few negative responses of people messaging me saying like it's stupid how teenagers are doing drugs and stuff like that. But most of the responses have been really positive.
And what's it like? I mean, clearly you've been seen on TV and in the papers and heard on the radio all across Canada. So I'm sure people in your school are very aware of what's going on. What's it been like for you having to return to a place after essentially everyone knows your personal life?
I was very scared at first. I thought everyone was just kind of going to judge me at school. I really didn't want to go back. I stopped going for a few weeks. But I've gotten a few messages from people at my school once I started going back about like how they're happy about what I'm doing and proud of me and everything. So it's a lot better than I thought it would be. I thought everyone would pretty much just judge me because I used to do drugs, but it's a lot better than that.
Are you ever concerned that you may return to drugs or overdose?
I don't think so. Right now I don't think I will, but you never know. It could happen in the future. I just really hope it doesn't. And I just have a lot of support, so I think there would be less of a chance of it happening if I didn't have as much support as I did right now.
And so you think that all the support you are receiving now is going to help you stay on the right path and continue to fight this addiction and beat it?
Yeah, definitely. I always have someone to support me, like my counselors and my family and friends, and everyone's very supportive of my decision to stop doing drugs, and I always have help if I need it.
After your father wrote the letter, and it was immediately picked up, and the story was starting to be spread all over. What was that like for you to see that you became the center of attention for this very important issue?
It was very surprising, and I really was not expecting it whatsoever. I thought that maybe some people in Canada were going to see the letter, and it was going to start something small, but it is way bigger than I expected. It's crazy, but it's been, I don't know where I was going with this. I don't know, it's been okay. It was crazy at first, but I'm happy about it all now.
And what do you plan on doing to keep yourself on track?
I'm going to keep going to school every day and try as best as I can at school. I see a counselor every week around. I'm on Suboxone, so if that keeps me off opiates and it gets rid of my cravings pretty much. So that's helpful, and I don't really know what else.